Welcome to the Books and Martinis podcast.
I'm Priya.
And I'm Mercy.
And this is your go-to book podcast,
where we lift, empower, and spotlight authors.
Grab your martini and follow along.
And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to our podcast. I'm Priya.
I'm Mercy. Welcome, everybody, and welcome, Margarita. Cheers to you. Welcome
Cheers.
back.
We're welcome
so excited
back.
to have you. Yay.
It's a party.
Good.
We're so excited to have you again.
Yes.
I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you for coming back. We're so happy.
For having me again.
Oh my gosh, of course. Of course.
So in your ears and on the screen, guys, is Margarita Artista. She's one of our favorite authors, and we actually had her on a year ago for her first book that Mercy's holding up. Let me get mine. The Phoenix Keeper and the City of the Sun. And This is her first book in her trilogy that she's written. And her second book. Oh, snap.
5. Yeah, there's 5.
Oh.
Ooh, I thought it was a trilogy.
I thought it was a trilogy.
I know.
Oh my God. Oh, okay. So I got questions for you after this, because how are you going to? Okay.
It goes
Say
places.
nothing.
Yeah.
Say nothing.
Say nothing.
Imagination is her superpower.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So today we're actually talking about her second book. It's The Phoenix Keeper and the Fiery Waters, book 2 in her 5-book series. And right off back, Margarita, before we get into the weeds of who you are, because we have to remind all the new people, we have to tell all the new people about who you are and your books. This book made me cry. I've said it on social media. I'll keep on saying it. How dare you?
I need a bag of popcorn. A whole bag.
A whole bag. I had to eat my feelings. And I was like, right away, I was on DM. I was like, Margarita.
It's true. She did. She was like, what the? What was that?
Why'd you do that?
I've gotten all the ARC readers at some point. I'm like, that's why I said, I think my response to you was like, I've been waiting for this message, because all the ARC readers are
that was
like,
the first thing she said.
Margarita, we need to talk.
Yeah, it was so good. It was way better than book 1, I have to say.
That's the goal.
Like,
that's the goal.
Not to say that book 1 wasn't great, because I loved book 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't read book 2 yet, because there's a delay in shipping. It's a whole thing. Margarita, we were just talking about this. So my copy has been quite delayed, and I really couldn't read on Kindle. That's why I always ask for hard copies. So I'm like dying to read the book, although Priya kind of sort of filled it for me.
I had diarrhea of the mouth.
And this happens, and this is how it ends. I'm like, all right, but I'm still excited about it, and I still want to read it.
Okay. So let's pause. Let's tell the world about Margarita. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Margarita Artista. I'm 28 years old, and I'm from Canada. I'm born and raised in British Columbia, and I currently reside here with my husband and my dog and my 3 birds. And I've been writing for as long as I can remember. And the Phoenix Keeper series was like, it's been ingrained in my brain since, honestly, it's lived as long as like my living memory in my brain. And I'm just so happy to see it like come to life and spread its wings, pun intended, into the world. So I'm just very, very honored and happy to be here and to get to chat about it. So I love talking about it. It's weird. I used to not like talking about it because I was just like, oh, it's just like my weird like fantasy book, whatever. But now I'm like, yeah, ask me anything. I want to talk about it.
It's out in the world. Too late now.
Yeah, too late. Yeah.
You came out of your shell.
Yes, definitely.
I love that. And so in part 2 of the book, in book 2, not part 2, in book 2, what was your favorite part of the book?
Ooh, there's a lot of favorite. So it's funny that you mention sort of like it's better than book 1, because of all of the books, book 1 is probably my least favorite, just because for me, when you're setting up a series like that, it's really hard to like have as much fun and excitement without that. Like I have to set up the world, I have to set up how things work and how we got here and all of that. So by the time I was starting to really have fun with the characters, we were getting close to the end in book 1. And that's just kind of the nature of how, it was structured. But book 2, there is a lot of really, really fun moments. I love the first half of the book, especially when we're finding out where, the second sanctuary is. We're hopping from place to place. I won't say where, but we're hopping from place to place, and we're getting into lots of trouble, and Felix and Seraphine are exploring some different feelings that they have for each other. And I think it's just a really just fun, there's a lot of like really humorous moments. And there's a moment at the zoo with the penguins, that's one of my favorite scenes that I've ever written. I remember I almost took it out because I was like, is this too much, like, funny? Like, does it not make it? And then I was like, no, it's just like, it's just lighthearted and fun. And there's some not so lighthearted and fun moments in this book. So I really wanted to keep that balance in and make sure that readers were still having a great time. And yeah, and I also, the Halloween party is also a really, really fun moment in that series. I think we learn a lot as well about some of the other characters in the story at that point. And of course, there's some spicy moments that happen at that party.
Yes.
So I always like them.
So for everybody listening, so this is a continuation of Seraphina and Felix's story as Phoenix Keepers. And it continues on with the banter with their friends, and they have to ensue on this grand adventures plural. There are multiple things happening here. But you you didn't write too much. I feel like it was the perfect amount of storytelling. Like, there wasn't, how I know it's not sci-fi, it's mostly fantasy, but how some sci-fis, there's a lot of detail and you just have to keep up with the names, the places, like what's going on. Yes. Like you had the right amount of stuff going on to make you interested. Like, oh, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? Like there's a little lull. Oh, something's going to happen now. Like, what I mean? Yeah. Like it was perfect.
Thank you.
Now
and
I
appreciate it. I appreciate that balance when I read as well. And I think because we got a lot of the sort of like world building and setting things up out of the way in the first book, this one was way more action oriented. So we saw a lot more things happen. So that was really fun. And I don't believe it was much longer than the first book. I think it's only within 100 pages of the first book. So
okay.
Yeah, I was really, it might have felt longer just because so many things happened.
Yeah.
No, it was so much fun. Yeah. Plotting this book was really, really fun as well.
So you told us your favorite parts. What was your least favorite part that, without saying too much, that you just felt you needed to include in the book, but you kind of hated it that you had to include it in the book?
End.
The end. Okay.
I kind of felt like, I have a feeling you want to say that, but because you put stuff on social media.
Yeah.
To say exactly what it was. They're gonna have to go figure it out on their own. But it made me feel like you were reveling in it a little bit, like ha ha ha. This is gonna happen.
So there are 2 moments in the series where something quite catastrophic happens.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is the one that I feel is quite it's evil, but I am proud of it because, again, nothing in my books doesn't serve a purpose. Like everything is supposed to be purposeful, and the whole reason we do see what happens in the second book. There is ideas that I wanted to explore in the third book that it necessitated that happening. So I think when readers get the third book, and I promise it's not going to be too much longer, like it should be by January. So,
thank you.
Like we'll be waiting for you. Like a cliffhanger forever. But when readers get the third book, which I'm also currently writing and, well, at least redrafting. I do have many drafts of all of these books, but I think it'll make more sense why I did what I did. And well, hopefully it makes sense. You could also just be like, this was stupid.
No.
This was unnecessary torture.
No. I was telling Mercy before you hopped on to join us, that I kind of feel like so there's a lot of like Indiana Jones-esque adventure happening, but I also felt like a little bit of Mr. and Mr. Smith in there.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Mr.
Yeah.
and Mrs. Smith.
Mr.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, Mr., but it's all good.
A little bit. Yeah. There's a lot of inspiration taken from many, many, many different things that
Okay.
are,
Yeah.
grown up with. But yeah, no, it is funny because you say Indiana Jones, and to me, it feels more like Legend of Zelda, the video games.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
like especially the sort of the riddles and the puzzles.
Mm,
And then when we do actually get into the sanctuary, the entirety of everything that happens in that sanctuary
yeah.
is very Legend of Zelda to me. And that was one of my main inspiration. Growing up, I played those video games so
I
much, and I
love
love those
that.
video games.
And
So
I feel so old. Well, I played Legend of Zelda when it first came out.
yes, yeah,
But you're
yeah, yeah, yeah.
obviously younger than me, so it's more ingrained into
The
who you
classic
are.
games are just chef's kiss.
Yeah, yeah,
So
definitely.
never, they're timeless. So
Well, I wanted to ask you. So I was reading, so the riddles that you had, talk about the riddles.
mhm.
Um, how did you craft those? Because
Oh
I'm like,
gosh.
sometimes I feel like I don't have enough because Mercy and I are both writers also. Like I feel like I don't have enough brain power sometimes. Like how do you get into the creative space where you're just creating things like that?
They are without a doubt the hardest part of the books to write because I want to make them not obvious, obviously, because then it would be like, why have you not figured this out already? But
Right.
they also need to be reliant on enough common knowledge that somebody with their level of expertise, because they're college students at the end of the day,
Mhm.
could figure out, right? And that also means like basically the general populace, that once they do figure it out, it's like, okay, that makes sense. So it can't be like super niche, but it can't also be like, it can't just like tell you point blank where it is, because that would be, even the first one, even though it told you point blank where it was, it had to be like, well, what is that?
Mhm.
The city of the sun, what is that? So they are the hardest part of the books to write, but it really the first thing I do is actually decide where it's going to be, and then I start researching about like, okay, what can I do to lead to that area, or what kind of fun, like sort of creative elements can I incorporate in this?
Mhm.
I really like the riddle for the third one because I think it's just the most interesting. Um, and I learn a lot also writing these books, just being like, oh, I did not know that was there, or that this was a thing. So there's
How does
also
that process?
oh, go ahead.
I want to know how that process, what that process looks like to you. Do you sit
Yeah.
in a quiet space when you're going
Yes.
through all this? Or
Yes.
do you like to go to a cafe? Is it in the like where's your inspiration, or where's that space
Home.
that helps you with that?
Yeah, home in my office. I have my desk, and so occasionally I will write while I'm en route to somewhere else. Like it's a really great way to pass the time because you spend a lot of time like being like,
Right,
I need that sentence back. Go back.
right.
So trains, planes, automobiles.
Mhm.
And I am blessed enough. I know a lot of people can't do this, but I'm blessed enough to be able to look at a screen in the car. Like I know some people, it makes it, like even my husband, it makes him super nauseous. So
Mhm.
plotting or anything like that, I can still do. Um, Occasionally I'll go to a cafe, but I'm such a people watcher, so I find myself very distracted by what's
Yeah.
going on around me unless I'm like extremely focused. So yeah, home, cup of coffee, a snack. I don't write to music usually unless it's instrumental. And I'm like trying to get, because again, distracted words. And then I'm like, all of a sudden I'm looking at music videos and like, was that guy in that music video? I can't remember. And then yeah, it all falls apart. So
We can totally identify with you, with
yeah.
both of us.
I envy people who can do that because I think it is really cool, because then they're saying, oh, I wrote this scene when I was listening to this song. So this song is kind of like an official part of the soundtrack. I don't have that experience. When I'm listening to music, I'll be like, this is really reminiscent of like that scene, or like this feels like book four, or this feels like, so I kind of have to do a little extra work to come up with my soundtracks, which I don't think I've ever like kind of put out there, but
Is there
yeah.
one for book two? Is there a soundtrack? Did I miss that?
There's a book one, but not, I wouldn't say soundtrack, but like playlist. Yeah,
Okay.
there's for all of them for sure, because there's songs that I listen to and I'm like, that is book three, like
Oh,
in a
well, is
yeah.
it available to readers?
I don't think so because it's on my Apple Music, but I have considered like moving them over to a Spotify playlist and then sharing
Yeah,
them.
or even
So,
YouTube. You can make a list on YouTube too if you don't have
oh, that's true.
Spotify.
Yeah, YouTube is easier for
Yeah, a
sure.
lot of people watch YouTube, so it might be easier just to have it
Yes,
playing in the background while you're reading it.
totally, totally. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be
Oh,
great.
I also envy people who can listen to music and read because I can't do that.
Yeah, I can't either.
Oh,
I could do lo-fi, like
Yeah,
lo-fi
lo-fi.
music. Yeah, or
Totally.
jazz or something.
Yeah.
But
If it
nothing
has
with words.
lyrics in it, though, it's no.
and
Can't
so
do that.
now that you've released the second book and you're in the process of writing a third book, what
Mhm.
would be your advice from what you've learned so far to somebody that's writing a series, which
So,
is which is so common and so hard to do?
Yeah. Well,
yes.
I want
It,
to add on to that question too, because it's been a
Yeah.
year since we've talked
yeah,
to you from your first book. So I'm sure there's been a learning curve
Yes.
also. I mean, because the
right.
books, I mean, like I said before, book one was great, but book two was really, really good. Like it was
Yeah.
crafted really well. So, like, what have you learned in the process? Like, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think um oh, this is a good question. I think always keep writing. I always say, write. You can't edit a non-existent draft, all of that stuff. You keep writing always. Back up your writing onto a USB stick because oh my gosh, I've lost drafts before and that is a
No.
heartbreaking experience.
Oh no.
From
Yeah,
Google Drive?
so not on Google. You can back up on Google Drive for sure, but I usually write on Microsoft Word. That's just
Oh, okay.
the program that I learned growing up, and then I always have a backup of the most current save on my USB stick just in case something were to happen to anything because it has
Yeah.
happened before.
Yeah.
Good
Um,
advice.
yeah, always do that. But I think the difference I've learned is having experienced releasing book one and then re-releasing it with the Zala Press, and then while I was in the midst of writing book two, I think a lot of people had ideas and theories of what was going to happen next, and I kind of had to tune it out. Like not tune it out. I don't want to say tune it out because that makes me feel like I don't listen to like feedback and stuff. I love looking at feedback and I actually do enjoy reading reviews, even the not so great ones, and kind of taking that all in and accepting that criticism. But I think when you are the creator of the story and you have it in your head, you're privy to information that the readers don't know.
Mm.
And I think trusting yourself and trusting your heart and the reason you started writing, the series or something like that, if it is a multiple series, even the book, and if it's just one sequel, I think you have to be open to ideas, but also trust your instincts because you know what's best for the book. I think
Right.
I hold that philosophy. Your editors will point you in the right direction as well, and I think editors will provide you a lot of both technical and story crafting advice as well. If you have like really good editors in your corner, hopefully everybody is privileged to be able to have that. But yeah, just trusting yourself and not letting the opinions and theories and stuff get to you because sometimes you read them and you're like, oh, that's a really good idea. I should have thought of that. But yeah. But
Do
then
you
again,
have?
oh, go ahead.
No, finish, finish. I
Yeah.
have
But
tons
then
of questions.
because you have the rest of the story plotted, right? So if somebody has an idea that significantly changes something in like book two, that significantly affects the rest of the books. And that is a whole process to kind of overhaul and do. So
So
Well, that was,
so you
you're basically answering that question because I was going to ask when you decided that you were going to have a 5 book series,
yeah,
did you already know what book 5 would look like what your end game would be with and the whole story? And
totally.
then so
So
you knew
what
and then you
I
decided to break it into 5.
yes, exactly. So
Okay.
that's exactly how I plotted it was one giant novel and then I split them where I thought it was the most I don't want to say convenient, but like the biggest sort of beats in
Mhm.
in the long story. That's where I split them. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
Because
great.
and
That was my question.
we do see a lot of like all of them are also kind of split according to theme. I didn't really realize this until I actually started writing them that the first book was really, we're redefinition or self-definition. That was a big thing, redefining her sense of self, also redefining her kind of approach to Felix and how their relationship plays out. In book two, I would say that the theme definitely morphed into more of like intimacy, like not only intimacy in the traditional sense, but we see a lot of other intimate moments that occur. Vulnerability, especially on Felix's part. We see a lot of intimacy in sort of the decisions that they're making, the conversations that they're having, the reasons, and they're exploring a little deeper, like the motivations for why they're doing what they're doing, and of course the ending is also extremely intimate in a very like sad sense.
Yeah.
And then the third book, I mean, like I can definitely say like the third book's theme is grief, as I'm going through it, because
Oh
not
man.
only yeah. Not only grieving though in the traditional sense again, but I think people don't realize like you can grieve like the life that you thought you were going to have, or the things that you thought you were going to do. The place you thought was home is also like a form of grief. Just like so grief as a whole, I think, has taken on, or grieving the person you once were, because
Right.
you can change, and sometimes you change in a way that maybe neglects your inner child, or you're forced to change in a way that isn't wholly who you thought you were going to be. And I think those are really real feelings and hard to face. So I really want to explore those ideas a lot.
Wow.
Wow.
So book three sounds really deep.
Book three is deep. It's also, I will say, so far my favorite book.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely. It's
Okay.
probably going to
okay.
be the longest.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm just so happy with how it's coming together. And I think people will be relieved when they get to book three, because
Please. Please,
yeah,
and
Yeah.
it's not
We're
as
all stressed
bad.
out.
The situation is not as dire.
yeah, no more
But
crying, no
yes,
more binge eating my
yes.
emotions.
But it becomes really, it's my favorite book to write. There's a lot, the second half of the book becomes extremely, I find, interesting. And then, there's some surprises along the way. And
I love
some
that.
characters from book two that didn't play a huge role in book two start to play a bigger role in book three, and then an even bigger role in book four. So, yeah.
And how can our readers get your book? Where can they
Okay,
find your book?
so lots of different ways. So they're on the Zon. You can order them paperback, ebook, and then we are working on special edition hardcovers as well for the second
Nice.
book,
Ooh.
very similar to the first book.
Okay.
And then you can also get them at azalapress.com. That's AZALA press.com.
Okay.
My official website. They're online if you're in Canada. They're indigo.ca. If you're in the States, Barnes and Noble. Yeah, lots of different
Sweet.
ways. And the audiobook for book one is coming out this summer. I'm so excited.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, so I voiced Seraphine, and that was a really fun experience. Being able to bring it to life. I voice her point of view, really. And so bringing her to life, but also bringing the other characters to life in like how she sees them, was a really fun experience. A little intimidating and challenging.
Wait, so you had to change your
Um,
voice to get to
a
create other
little bit.
voices?
Yeah, a little bit. I
Oh,
decided against doing too many accents just because I wanted to be respectful. I do have a lot of like different characters of like different ethnicities and cultures, and I did not want to do them injustice.
mhm.
I did do an English accent, and it's terrible. So I apologize. My counterpart, the fabulous Tom Mannering,
Yeah.
he's on Instagram at Price of Tom. So he's Felix, and I'll be announcing this very soon on my social media, anyways. Because we're gonna do some teasers and stuff for
Oh, I
for
love it.
for
Oh, tag us.
yes. Oh, of
Tag us.
course.
We'd love to
Yeah.
share with
And
all the listeners.
he did such a fantastic job with Felix's point of
Oh,
view. Especially with Felix, not only with Felix, but he did Fuego so well, and then Julius so well. And it's just so listening to it's incredible to hear like what was in your head, like actually in real life.
Were
And
you
he
like,
was so
were you cringing in some parts, like nervous, like,
Oh God, yeah. No, the arguing or flirting with yourself it's a very odd experience. And I actually really don't like the sound of my own voice. Like I like talking is fine, but like when I listen to a recording of myself, I'm like, ugh.
I'm
feel the
sure
same
you were
way.
great. Oh my God.
No.
And maybe we can have Tom on the podcast because we've been interviewing a lot of voice actors. We did
Yeah.
the one for Iron Flame and we just did
Yeah.
Carly Robbins and we
Oh.
have another one coming up soon. And we'd love to have a male voice actor on.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's such a fabulous person. And he was kind enough. So, because we don't hear as much from Felix in the first two books as we do Seraphine, he was just kind enough to be like, well, I'll edit everything together as well. And I was just like, oh,
Aw.
such an angel.
That's amazing.
So he did that. And it's actually not only narrated partly by him, but it's also produced by him. So
Oh, well, that's
Wow.
shout
convenient.
out, Tom.
Yes. And
And I'll let him know.
congratulations
I'm
to
sure he would
you.
love to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Congratulations. That's huge. Good for you.
Thank
I
you.
love that. I
Thank you.
love that.
It was not when I look back at the things that I never thought was going to happen, like in terms of my books. I did all of this, I wrote all of it. I'm like, this is never going to see the light of day and all of that stuff.
Aw.
The audiobook is probably my favorite thing to come. It was really challenging. It challenged me a lot to record, and I have like literally a pseudo recording studio in my master bedroom closet right now because like I needed the sound buffering and like
Yeah.
Right.
the mic and all that. But it was so fun. I had a lot of fun with it, and
What an
I hope that comes
experience.
across. Yeah, in the audio. It may not be the best, like production quality wise, and
Mhm.
my narration is not professional. The production quality is probably great because Tom did that, but my narration might not be like the most professional narration.
Stop it. Stop
But
it.
It will be authentic.
Exactly.
Exactly.
No, that's exactly. And you know what? I can take pride in that. So
That's right. Own that.
Yes.
yeah.
Absolutely. Oh,
Yes.
that's wonderful.
So I know we're nearing the end of our episode today, but I wanted to fan out a little bit because there's one scene, and you could tell me whether or not to keep this in the podcast. But it's one we talked about when I DM'd you that I thought was just so beautiful. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Can I read the little paragraph?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
From
Absolutely.
my readers.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Pull it up. Okay, so this is Seraphine, and she's riding on top of her phoenix.
Mhm.
All right. As we continue to fly over the vast expanse of rainforest, I became enthralled with watching the stars above me whiz by. I had started at the night sky before, but there was something more captivating about it now that I was much closer to it. Without really thinking, I reached out my arm and attempted to entrap the stars in my grasp. I knew there was no chance of that ever happening, but it was the childish joy, the action brought to me that made me repeat it over and over, putting a smile on my face. And just like the like, the visual of her just reaching her hands up for the stars was just, it was beautiful. And, kudos.
Oh, thank you. The imagery, the stars has always been a thing my dad's been really into. Like my dad, when the iPhone first came out, he had that app where if you look at the sky, it'll tell you what
Yeah.
constellation or something like that. So I always kind of have that with my dad, and I have it. It's a kind of a pseudo. The whole stars coming back. I mean, there's lots of sort of like mythological references and stuff like that in the books for the stars, but that's also kind of like a kudos to my dad because
Aww.
my dad
And if
loves
you
stars.
think about it, it's like, we're talking about the fiery waters, below them, but the sky is like the water too. And just like the visual of
Totally.
her hand, like,
Totally.
kind of, you've seen those cartoons, like with, the people like sticking their hand up into the stars
Yes.
and the sky
Then
rippling, like that's just that visual. That's what the visual it gave me.
Totally.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm glad that resonated. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to get mine.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Mercy. I feel so bad.
I'm like neglected back here, filled with FOMO.
Yeah.
It was
hopefully
beautiful.
soon.
It was
Oh,
so
good.
beautiful.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for sharing it
Yeah,
with
we're
us. And
honored.
thank you for sharing your story with the world. And
Well, thank you.
I
Thank you for
seems to
reading
keep,
it.
of course, seems to keep getting better and better and better.
I hope
Yes.
that's the goal. So long as my goal is just to write better than the last one.
Sure.
And you did.
Absolutely.
And you did.
Thank you.
So no pressure on book 3.
Yeah, I'm feeling really good about book 3 so far. This draft, I think, is the winner chicken dinner. So.
Oh man. And hopefully book 4 will be even better than book 3.
I think book 4 and book 5, I think book 3 is going to be my favorite in the series, but I am really excited to resolve the story. And I think when everything comes together and everybody's gonna be like, oh, that's why, and oh, that's the purpose of this person, and like, oh, there she is. Like
You'll tie all the loose ends.
Yes. Yeah. I'm very much of like breadcrumbs, and then like in the end I'm like, here's your loaf of bread.
You definitely did that. Because we didn't hear about one thing until the very end in book 2, and I was just like, oh crap, that again.
Yeah. Well, you did kind of have some foreshadowing.
Yes.
A little bit. A little bit. He made some comments and she made some inferences.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden it was like,
do not spoil it anymore for me.
Yeah, no, I'm not spoiling.
But I do have, I know now I'm remembering last interview, you said that Felix was your favorite, right? Was it? Yeah. And Seraphine, you modeled mostly after yourself, which is beautiful. Yes. And now you're doing the voice for her. Yes. But I just love the playfulness of Felix and his just like, the way he thinks. He's just like, screw you. Yeah. I can do what I want.
Yeah. They're very similar in personality. They don't really realize it, but both of them, I mean, especially with their vulnerabilities, like both of them have kind of built up a wall that they're breaking down for each other, but in different ways. Like Felix has a lot of his, unresolved trauma from his, the events that happened in his childhood, whereas Seraphine, she comes across very abrasive to him because she can sense that he's kind of like the men of her past, but not really. And, she has this sort of, wall up because she doesn't want to be hurt again. Same reason he doesn't want to be hurt again in the same way. So they're very similar, actually. And I think that's part of what makes them so volatile together, but also that they complement each other very well. So
I love it.
Love it.
I can't wait to get my copy.
I can't wait for you to get it either.
I feel so bad.
I know. I felt like I remember like we placed the order and then like everything and then we got the notification that they announced that they were, going to go on strike again. And I was like, this is Canada Post. I don't know if we're going to keep this in or not, but you know, shipping and I just delayed. And again, I completely understand why a strike might be necessary, but at the same time, I'm like, I just want people to get their books.
I know. And they will. And they're going to love it up. And you're going to get amazing reviews. And then on to the next.
Yes.
Absolutely.
On to the next. Yeah. January 2026 is my goal.
Beautiful.
And the audiobook is being released when?
So it should be, originally we were planning for a fall 2025 release. We were ahead of schedule. And so we are hoping, it's sitting with quality assurance at ACX right now. So as soon as we get the approval, it could be up like 10 days from then. So. So it could be like this month.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be nice to have the book and listen to the audio at the same time.
Totally. Yeah, totally. I agree. Yeah. I had to sit down and listen to the whole thing. Just be like, oh.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Like Felix's parts, I was like, ooh, this is like really cool. And my parts, I was like, oh.
Stop. You keep saying that.
I know.
Margarita.
I really, really just don't like the sound. It's like, I don't know. I just really don't like the sound of my voice on audio. Like, yeah, I don't know.
And watch,
is fine.
Watch. Everybody's going to hear your voice and be like, oh my God, I need to hire her to do my book. She sounds so amazing.
I would love to do that, actually. Exploring other people's characters would be super fun. Yeah.
Maybe you could do my book. Maybe you could do my book.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, not a professional by any means, but
we'll see.
You know what it is? It's because as a kid I had a lisp. I had braces, and so I think I haven't fully gotten used to the fact that like it's very minimal, like, but there's still a tiny little bit of presence, but it is worlds better than it was when I was younger. Not that there's anything wrong with having a list.
You can barely tell. Like you just said it,
yeah.
Now I can hear it. But like,
thank you. Yeah,
I could tell before.
That's exactly it. People were like, "Well, I didn't notice until you pointed it out," and now,
yeah,
maybe we don't mention.
Like, I gotta stop doing that to myself.
Or maybe you own it.
That.
Yeah,
that, or you own it and you love it, and that's what makes you special and different, right?
Yeah,
and authentic.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So, but I think that's part of it. Like from my childhood, I always kind of thought I was like, oh, I don't like my lisp. But it's here, so
that's right. That's right. Embrace it.
Yeah. All right, Margarita. Well, thank you so much for being our guests again for the Phoenix Keeper and the Fiery Waters. We are so excited for it to be out in the world. This episode is airing at the end of June, but your book will be out by now. So if you guys are listening or watching this, go get her book. Yes. It's available. We'll put all the links. Do it.
And be patient. And be patient.
Thank you if you do. I appreciate all of my readers.
Yes. And I mean, if you have Kindle too, the Kindle version is just as great. So even if you're waiting for the hard copy, the paperback, at least you can go on Kindle, unlimited Kindle, and download it and listen to it. Yeah. I mean, what? I'm sorry. See, I'm on the audio. Read it.
The audiobook will come, but it won't come until probably winter as well. Winter 2026.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
So if you are, that's super important for me because I know that there are some people who need audiobooks in order to access reading. So yeah, it is very important to me that they do come, eventually. So they are coming. We're starting recording this fall. So
nice. Love it. Nice. Well, thank you for being our guest. Let's do another little cheers.
Yep. Yes, cheers.
Get our mug and our glass.
Until the next book.
Thank you for being our guest.
Yeah, and we'll see you with the next book.
You bet.
Yeah. Guys, follow her.
Margarita. 8:15 in the morning so I can have a martini.
Yeah, it's going to be a long day then.
Yes.
All right, y'all. Like, share, follow, guys. Subscribe, all that great stuff. And
absolutely.
Again,
we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.